Good morning, this is Terry Allen. It is December 22nd, Thursday, 2022. We have received the greatest, biggest, most wonderful Christmas gift probably in my lifetime. Elon Musk allowing the Twitter email files to be dumped so that the population can see exactly what happened. So now, we have the smoking gun. We have the damning evidence. We know now, without a doubt, that the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, and the FBI colluded with Twitter employees to manipulate the election in favor of Joe Biden, lying, creating misinformation about Donald Trump, to prevent him from becoming president, again, reelected. And so you've still got shills denying this. I mean, it's just amazing. Rob Reiner, God almighty, he needs to be institutionalized for his own protection and for the others around him, because he is in meltdown mode. Denying reality. This guy is having delusions. He's schizophrenic. It's hard to believe that people are still trying to say that, oh, there's nothing to see here, or we already knew all this before, and I'm just wondering if anybody's going to go to jail over this, because that's the problem. I mean, they have committed serious crimes when the government works with a corporation to deny the First Amendment rights, a political idea, an opposition that is against the Constitution, and heads must roll. The FBI, another situation, they were heavily involved, giving Twitter employees the different channels, the different accounts to delete and take down. They made up this whole thing about Hunter Biden's laptop, trying to say that it was Russian misinformation right before the election, because they knew that if this came out and was proven to be correct, Joe Biden probably would have lost the election. In my mind, there's no doubt. They knew that this was a serious situation, and they had to intervene, desperately had to intervene as fast as they could. And then you had FBI agents signing a letter, 50 of them signed a letter that this was definitely Russian information. Now, every one of those 50 had to have known they were lying. They were lying, and they knew it, because there was no evidence whatsoever that Russia was involved. So now you've got the situation where in 2016, Russia was blamed for hacking Hillary Clinton's server and sending the emails, John Podesta, Hillary, different criminals, to WikiLeaks. We know, I'm pretty sure that Seth Rich did it, because he was the IT guy for the DNC. Bill Binney proves that those emails and files were downloaded at thumb drive speed, not internet speed. So we know that. So someone on the inside did it, but they blamed Russia. They created this hoax, this entire fabrication to discredit Trump, and then denied that he was a legitimate president for 4 years. I mean, these people are insane. But half the American population believes them, because they don't think, they don't know. They are sheep. They listen and believe whatever CNN and MSNBC tells them. So that's the reason why there's so many Americans that want to kick Russia's ass over this Ukraine situation, when this is all about oil and gas. This has nothing to do with human rights. This has nothing to do with saving democracy for Ukraine. Zero. So I'm not going to read all these emails. You know, Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, Lee Fang, Barry Weiss, they are doing an excellent job. I don't need to repeat. You can go to Substack, you can go to Twitter and read these downloads for yourself. And if you aren't convinced that this was a conspiracy to defraud and misinform the American population, then you are blind, deaf, and very dumb. So, what can we say? My concern is that no one will go to jail because the Republicans are gutless. I like Josh Hawley, and I never liked Ted Cruz. But he is a pit bull when it comes to trying to get information out of the FBI and trying to get the information out about the Ray Epps situation, how the FBI set up January 6th. They set it up. They infiltrated the Proud Boys. One of the FBI agents was actually the number 2 position in the Proud Boys. So if there was an insurrection, they would have known about it because they were trying to set the thing up. They were taking these people, these fat old baby boomers, with running around with their pajamas on and an American flag over their shoulder. They were trying to entrap them to blame January 6th on Trump and MAGA and any people that were involved because they wanted to create a class of domestic terrorists so that they could go after these people without trial. They could round them up. Anybody that had a dissent or a disagreement with the Democratic Party or the powers that be could be rounded up and silenced. What we have here is an abomination. This is worse than anything that we have ever experienced in the United States since 1776. We are in an existential crisis. The Democratic Party has been pushing this insane line that they were trying to save democracy, all the while that they were actually undermining and destroying our democracy. It's the Machiavellian. This is insane. So, Republican Party, you need to go after these criminals. You need to indict these criminals. You need to open up reality. Bring the truth out. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. But that is our only hope of getting to the root of this and rooting this criminality out. We can destroy the deep state. We can take down the FBI. I would like to see defund the FBI. That would be a really good thing. Because the FBI is just a dirty tricks operation ever since their inception. J. Edgar Hoover, he was compromised. That's why he didn't go after the mafia, because he was compromised. He was blackmailed. And they have used blackmail, and they have used infiltrations, and they have used surveillance to destroy the political enemies of the status quo. So, read it for yourself. It's all there. So, will the Democrats, the FBI, and some of the Twitter employees go to prison? Will some of the Democrats that were involved, the FBI agents and Twitter employees, go to prison over this? Will the truth really come out? Will the truth about January 6th come out? Will this conspiracy be opened up? Now, anybody says, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you better believe I am, because this was a conspiracy, without a doubt. So this country needs to examine itself. It needs to look into the mirror. What are we doing in the world? We are destroying the world. We have a mafia-style cabal running an American empire to crush anything in our way. The United States, wants to sell gas and oil to Europe. Who was standing in their way? Russia. So that's why that's why we're in Ukraine. That's why we're arming the shit out of them. What, $100 billion of weaponry that we've given them so far? Where is half of that weaponry going? It's showing up all over the world. It's showing up in Congo. It's showing up in Yemen. It's showing up in Saudi Arabia. This weaponry is showing up. The Ukrainians are selling this stuff. This is the most amazing story. Where is most of that cash gone? Well, now we know that the Ukrainians were buying up the FTX token, pumping millions of dollars into FTX, and then Fried, was donating millions of dollars to the Democratic Party to once again manipulate the election, to once again misinform the population, to steal the election for Joe Biden. This is so unconstitutional. This is such an egregious event. These people's heads must roll. This is existential threat. If we don't get rid of these people, we won't have a nation. So, Republican Party, it's up to you. You've got a tiny margin in the House. Everyone in the United States that understands the reality and the severity of this situation needs to contact their congressmen and senators. They need to demand that the Republicans, and there may be a couple of sane Democrats, I don't know, that will go after this cabal, will take this cabal down. Demand it. Or we're going to end up in civil war, because now we know that the elections can be manipulated, and that's how they did it. And anybody that questioned that were made fun of, were called election deniers. It's just amazing. It's absolutely amazing. How Machiavellian can you get? They were accusing Trump of doing the exact same thing that they were actually doing. They are fascists, but they were accusing Trump of being a fascist. And look at some of the insanity on Twitter. Rob Reiner, this guy is schizophrenic, okay? There's other what we could call Twitter deniers, or conspiracy deniers, or democracy deniers. Wow. So that's our goal. That's what we must do. So I'm going to end this, but I want to emphasize that my background is a photo of the maglev train in Shanghai, China, that goes to the airport. And I've ridden on it personally. It goes 431 kilometers per hour. And it takes 7 minutes to go from the Shanghai Convention Center to the airport. It's incredible. The question is, why can't we do it? Why don't we have maglev in this country? Why don't we have high-speed rail? Our infrastructure is ancient. I mean, the Amtrak is a clackety-clack, train from the 1920s. Go to Europe and see what they've got. High-speed rail. You don't need cars that much because they have a great mass transit system. We've got nothing. This country needs a complete makeover. And that's the other point that I want to make really quickly, is that everybody in the government is crying about deficits. They are crying about, we don't have the money. But we're just throwing $100 billion of money to Ukraine, which is actually coming back to the military-industrial complex because they're the ones that are making the weaponry. As I said, I'm emphasizing this is not about protecting democracy. This is about money laundering. This is about criminality. So what we need to do, and I doubt if it's ever going to happen, but the Federal Reserve needs to be dismantled. We do not need the Federal Reserve. It's unconstitutional. It's private banks that are looting this country, creating the deficit, because we have to borrow money from the Federal Reserve to do anything that we want. And anytime we get more money from the Federal Reserve than we are getting in taxes, that's where your deficit's coming from. It's all fake. It's ridiculous. So this, in 1913, the Federal Reserve was created by bankers to stranglehold the American financial system for their benefit and for the detriment of everyone else. We can borrow money from ourselves. We can create credit to do all of these projects. That does not cause inflation. Everybody is crying about, oh, the government spending is causing all this inflation. What a pile of BS. Anybody that tells you that has no idea what they are talking about, because the government for 30, 40 years has been spending more money than they bring in, creating huge deficits, and we never had inflation until now. So that should be proof right there. We need to take control of our own finances. We need to create great projects to pull our country out of this misery. We need to end the American empire and all these wars. We do not need them. They have pushed us, NATO and the United States has pushed the world to the brink of nuclear war. And it seems like they have actually stated, NATO has stated that they can win a nuclear war. These people are mad. They are insane. And we have got to gut this thing quick. And that's why they all went after Trump. Because whatever you think about him, he said we don't need NATO anymore. He was right. He said that the election was rigged against him. He was right. The Democratic Party was using criminality to monitor Trump's election committee. They were creating documents that they knew were false, presenting them to the media so they could run with them, getting the FBI, which the FBI knew was all fake too, getting the FBI to go after Trump with every dirty trick they could find. Because why? He was upsetting their apple cart. That's the problem. That's why they had to have January 6th. So whatever you think about him, he was upsetting their apple cart. He was going to change their cozy little system where they were making billions of dollars on the American population while destroying our economy and bringing the world to the verge of nuclear war. So that's all I want to say. It is getting really cold here. I'm in Texas. It was snowing earlier, 21 degrees. I knew Texas was hot, but I didn't know it was going to be this cold. So that's why I'm wearing this sweater. Anyway, okay. Merry Christmas, everybody. We have a giant Christmas present under the tree. Let's see what happens when we open this present. Take care and peace.